Welcome to World News. This is Shekina. In today's World News, we cover a range of developments from the Middle East to Africa, North America and Asia. Key headlines include the release of Palestinian militant Zakaria Zubeidi as part of a prisoner exchange, the harrowing story of Israeli hostages freed after 482 days in captivity, and the rising tensions in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo as M23 rebels push further into Goma. We also see new initiatives in El Salvador's fight against gang violence, a tragic plane crash near Washington, and a controversial U.S. military fight detouring around Mexico. In the spotlight of social media, a Pakistani YouTuber star avoids jail after a Lion Cup gift, and Elon Musk is nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for his stance on free speech. Let's get into the details. US President Donald Trump addressed the nation following a tragic plane crash, expressing deep anguish. He revealed that just before 9 p.m. the previous evening, an American Airlines regional jet carrying 60 passengers and 4 crew members collided with an Army Black Hawk helicopter, which was carrying 3 military service members. The collision occurred over the Potomac River near Washington, D.C. as the jet was on its final approach to Reagan National Airport. Both aircraft crashed instantly and were submerged in the icy waters of the Potomac. Trump praised the swift and efficient response of local, state, federal and military authorities, especially the United States Coast Guard, who mobilized immediately for the massive search and rescue operation. Despite their efforts, the mission has now shifted to recovery, with no survivors from either aircraft. The president described the incident as a dark and excruciating night for the nation, emphasizing the scale of the tragedy and the profound grief felt across the country and beyond, as some of the victims were from the other nations.
I speak to you this morning in an hour of anguish for our nation. Just before 9 p.m. last night, an American Airlines regional jet carrying 60 passengers and 4 crew collided with an Army Black Hawk helicopter carrying 3 military service members over the Potomac River in Washington, D.C., while on final approach to Reagan National Airport. Both aircraft crashed instantly and were immediately submerged into the icy waters of the Potomac. Real tragedy. The massive search and rescue mission was underway throughout the night, leveraging every asset at our disposal, and I have to say the local, state, federal, military, including the United States Coast Guard in particular, they've done a phenomenal job. So quick, so fast, it was mobilized immediately. The work has now shifted to a recovery mission. Sadly, there are no survivors. This was a dark and excruciating night in our nation's capital and in our nation's history, and a tragedy of terrible proportions. As one nation, we grieve for every precious soul that has been taken from us so suddenly, and we are a country of we are in mourning. This has really shaken a lot of people, including people very sadly from other nations who were on the flight. For the family members back in Wichita, Kansas, here in Washington, D.C., and throughout the United States and in Russia, we have a Russia contingent of very talented people. Unfortunately, were on that plane. Very, very, very sorry about that. Whose loved ones were aboard the passenger jet. We can only begin to imagine the agony that you're all feeling. Nothing worse. On behalf of the First Lady, myself, and 340 million Americans, our hearts are shattered alongside yours, and our prayers are with you.
US NTSB member Todd Inman stated that the investigative team would remain at the crash site until all perishable evidence is gathered to determine the probable cause. He mentioned a preliminary report would be issued within 30 days, with a final report flowing after the full investigation. Inman clarified that only the NTSB would release public information about the investigation except for fatalities, which the DC medical examiner would handle. And he also noted that involved parties must not release documents or speak publicly without NTSB consent, and that families would be briefed later in the day.
First full day on scene. Our investigative team will be on scene as long as it takes in order to obtain all of the perishable evidence and all of the fact-finding that is needed to bring us to a conclusion of probable cause. Our mission is to understand not just what happened, but why it happened, and to recommend changes to prevent it from happening again. Since we're just beginning our investigation, we don't have a great deal of information to share right now. We will keep you informed by giving regular updates as we learn more. Our intention is to have a preliminary report within 30 days, and the final report will be issued once we've completed all of our fact-finding and investigation. Now, we will not be determining the probable cause of the accident while we are here on scene, nor will we speculate about what may have caused this accident. Today, we will be going and having an organizational meeting and establishing our parties to our investigation. We currently have the following parties that are already identified: PSA Airlines, GE Aerospace, Sikorsky, FAA, NACTA, which represents the air traffic controllers, ALPA, which represents the pilots, Army, AFA, which represents the flight attendants. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada will be an accredited representative under Annex 13 of ICAO.
Well, coming into Middle East, the people lift up Zakaria Zubeidi, 49, a former leader of Palestinian militant group jailed for attacks that killed several Israelis, upon his arrival in Ramallah after being released by Israel in a hostage prisoner exchange. Zubeidi, chief of the armed wing of Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas Fateh Party, rose to prominence during the Second Intifada, a Palestinian uprising in the early 2000s. Becoming one of the best-known militant leaders in Jenin and its refugee camp in the occupied West Bank. After 482 days in Hamas captivity, Israeli hostages Arbel Yehud, Gadi Moses and Agam Berger returned home on Thursday, revealing harrowing details of their ordeal, including how they clung to their faith, refusing to eat leavened bread on Passover and attempting to fast on Yom Kippur despite their captor's cruelty. The IDF observers from Nahal Oz, including Agam Berger, made a conscious effort to observe Jewish traditions even while being held underground and in Hamas-controlled apartments in Gaza, media reported. Despite the dire conditions, they refused to eat chametz, which means leavened bread, on Passover and attempted to fast on Yom Kippur, a difficult task given the severe malnutrition they suffered.
Our hospital has accepted Mr. Gadi Moses, who is the oldest of the returned hostages that returned up till now. After initial evaluation, I'm happy to say that his condition is quite good and stable. It allows him to spend the first hours here with his family in a private environment. They can talk, they can be together, they can rest a little from this very exciting and not easy day. Our hospital has accepted Mr. Gadi Moses, who is the oldest of the returned hostages that returned up till now. After initial evaluation, I'm happy to say that his condition is quite good and stable. It allows him to spend the first hours here with his family in a private environment. They can talk, they can be together, they can rest a little from this very exciting and not easy day.
Well, looking at Africa, the Rwanda-backed M23 rebel group has pushed south from Goma, the border city in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo that it captured this week, and declared its intention to remain in the city as fears grow of a major regional war. "We are here in Goma to stay. Cornelia Nangaa, the head of the Congo River Alliance, a coalition of militias that includes M23, said at a press conference in Goma, "We are going to continue the march until Kinshasa," he added, referring to Congo's capital 1,000 miles away. Earlier, Rwanda's ambassador at large for the Great Lakes region, Vincent Karega, said the M23 advance would continue and it was possible the virus could push beyond the country's east. International calls for restraint appears to have had little impact on the ground in DRC. Local sources told Agence France Presse that fighters from M23 have seized 2 districts in South Kivu province as they advance towards the provincial capital Bukavu, the second largest city in the eastern DRC.
Protéger la population contre les insécurités. Nous allons continuer la marche de libération jusqu'à Kinshasa.
Ils ont coupé l'eau et l'électricité. Ils ont privé la population de Goma de tout accès à l'Internet et à haute communication. C'est la méthode criminelle du régime de Kinshasa et ils revendiquent. Jusqu'hier, ils revendiquaient encore qu'ils ont coupé l'électricité et ils ont coupé l'eau d'un Goma. Pour relancer la vie socio-économique dans la ville, nous venons de mettre en place des teams chargés de relever les déficits au niveau socio-économique. Donc, un team au niveau économique, financier, au niveau socio-humanitaire d'abord, au niveau économique, financier et infrastructurel, au niveau de la mobilisation et de la sensibilisation, au niveau aussi de l'assainissement de la ville, remise en état opérationnel de tous les services de base et nous travaillons pour la communication. À cet effet, dans les 48 heures, et de bonnes nouvelles commencent néanmoins à tomber, nous lançons les travaux d'assainissement de la ville. On doit relancer les activités économiques et pour cela nous demandons à tous les gomatriciens de rentrer, que chacun va dans ses occupations normales. Nous sommes des Congolais. Nous ne sommes pas ce que eux prétendent de nous. Nous sommes ce que nous vous disons.
As part of President Nayib Bukele's ongoing crusade against gangs in El Salvador, the government opened the Counter-Terrorism Confinement Center in Telugu, which will soon mark its 2nd anniversary. In this maximum security facility imprisoned gang members who spoke to media under the watchful eye of prisoner guards are well aware that they will never leave. But right activists say thousands rounded up under a state of emergency are innocent.
Porque uno ha sufrido, ha perdido mi familia, ha perdido, ¿qué no hemos perdido nosotros en la cárcel? ¿Vale? Y hoy estamos en un penal de máxima seguridad cuando ya sabemos que ya no va a haber salida para nosotros.
Los RIP, lo tiene la MS como lo tienen los 18. Hay tatuajes que los pueden ver ustedes, cambian, son las letras, los números. Muchos de ellos tienen payasos.
Pues sí, yo como pandillero no estoy de acuerdo en lo que ellos hacen, pero para el pueblo salvadoreño digo yo que es lo mejor, porque no hemos sido personas buenas.
Tenemos ya el control acá, damos paso al siguiente botón y contamos con también necesarios para el personal que va a trabajar acá. Y ahí comienza
convencional, desperdigó. Para cualquier intervención que nosotros hacemos a grado de peligrosidad.
Cuando ustedes ya estén frente a ellos, podrán decir.
Part of the wreckage of the passenger plane is seen as rescue crews search the waters of the Potomac River. The U.S. commercial airliner carrying 64 people and a military helicopter collided mid-air over Washington on Wednesday before crashing into the Potomac River. A rescue operation had turned into a recovery operation by Thursday morning, with no survivors expected. President Donald Trump signed a presidential memorandum on aviation safety, which he says will undo damage done to federal agencies by the Biden administration. He also doubled down on assertions that incompetence might have played a role in the crash. President Donald Trump is suggesting that Federal Aviation Administration's diversity efforts has made air travel less safe. The president asserted his opinion in a news conference, even though the crash has yet to be fully investigated.
Presidential memorandum titled Immediate Assessment of Aviation Safety. In light of the damage done to aviation safety by the Biden administration's DEI and woke policies, what this presidential memorandum orders is for your Secretary of Transportation and FAA administrator, in this case acting FAA administrator, to basically ensure that we are actively undoing all of that damage.
In other words, competence.
Yes, sir. Elevating competence over everything else instead of the DEI policies that were pursued by the Biden administration.
I think everyone understands that.
Mr. President, to be clear, are you saying race or gender played a role in this tragedy?
It may have, I don't know. Incompetence might have played a role. We'll let you know that, but we want the most competent people. We don't care what race they are. We want the most competent people, especially in those positions. And you're talking about extremely complex things. And if they don't have a great brain, a great power of the brain, they're not going to be very good at what they do, and bad things will happen.
Have you spoken to any of the families of the victims of the plane crash?
I don't want to comment on that.
Do you have a plan to go visit the site or meet with any of the
I have a
first
plan
responders?
to visit, not the site, because you tell me, what's the site? The water?
Or to meet
Want
with the
me to go
first
swimming?
responders down there?
I don't have a plan to do that, but I will be meeting with some people that were very badly hurt, with their family member, obviously, but I'll be meeting with
A U.S. Air Force jet with 80 migrants that left Texas for Guatemala on Tuesday chartered a path around Mexico because it couldn't fly over the country. According to a U.S. official, the Mexican government said it never denied permission. The flight from Fort Bliss, an army base in El Paso, was scheduled to take about 7 hours, nearly twice as long as a direct route, because the military plane could not fly over Mexico, said U.S. Border Patrol spokesperson Orlando Marrero. 8 children were abroad, Mexico's Interior Secretary said in a brief statement Thursday night that the U.S. government never asked permission to send the flight and that it had no ban. The flight with migrants bound at their wrists and ankles reflects a growing role for the U.S. Armed Forces in helping enforce immigration laws.
La patrulla fronteriza utiliza los recursos necesarios y disponibles para deportar personas que han entrado ilegalmente a los Estados Unidos. Muchas personas se demoran 30, 60, 90 días utilizando un sinfín de recursos para entrar ilegalmente a los Estados Unidos. Y el mensaje que le tenemos a esas personas es que si cruza la frontera ilegalmente, le vamos a deportar a su país de origen en cuestión de horas.
Welcoming to Asia, a Pakistani YouTuber star who was gifted a lion cub on his wedding day has avoided jail after promising a judge to upload animal rights videos for a year. Rajab Butt has one of the largest online followings in the South Asian country, and his week-long nuptials in late December were plastered over celebrity gossip websites. When a sleepy lion cub resembling young Simba from the 2019 Lion King film was presented to him in a gold chained case in front of thousands of guests who party late into the night in the eastern megacity of Lahore. Pictures spread rapidly online. The cup was given to him by Umar Dola, who runs another YouTube channel called Lion Hub, the BBC reported. Dola claimed in court that he was still the animal's legal owner, but the judge ruled it had been seized by Bert, local media reported.
तो जब आप के पास आया कोई बात नहीं चलिए पकड़ लो भाई पकड़ लो प्लेफुल है देखिए ऐसे बैठता है बिल्कुल ये वो तो जो आता है आपके पास रेस्क्यू ही हो गया ना ये सबसे पहले तो जब पता चला कि इस तरह वो कॉन्सिक्रेट हो गया यहाँ पे सफारी में आया है तो मैंने देखा इस पे स्ट्रेस पे था ये तो जाहिर बात है एक ये भी एक जो बड़ी गलत बात है कि एक छोटे से बच्चे को माँ से अलग कर देते हैं और ये लोग यही काम करते हैं जो कि एनिमल क्रूरटी में भी आता है और ये गलत है, अखलाकन भी गलत है और वैसे कानून भी गलत है। तो वो यकीनन स्ट्रेस में था, उसके बाद हमने यहाँ पे इसको फिर फीड शीट शुरू किया, वो फिर बेहतर हुआ फिर। उन्होंने माँ से उठा के, तो हालांकि माँ उसको फीड करवा रही थी, तो उठा के उन्होंने उधर उसको गिफ्ट कर दिया, जो कि उसने फिर हैंड फीड पे ही लेके आना था। तो ऑलरेडी हमारे पास और भी बच्चे यहाँ पे हैं जो ब्रीड होते हैं, जो कि जिनको मदर अटेंड नहीं करती, उसको हम हैंड फीड पे ले आते हैं। हमारा जो वेटरनरी स्टाफ है उसको पालता है फिर फीडर की मदद से। इसको भी हम उसी तरह जिस तरह दूसरे पाल रहे हैं उसी तरह फीडिंग इसकी फीडर से करवा रहे हैं।
Billionaire and head of the Department of Government Efficiency for the United States, Elon Musk has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. European Parliament member Branko Grims has confirmed that a petition for Elon Musk's nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize 2025 has been submitted to the Norwegian Nobel Committee. This nomination was in recognition for his contributions to the defense of free speech and human rights. Grims said in his Facebook post that there can be no peace without freedom of speech because censorship leads to manipulation, conflict and in the end to war. Elon Musk has achieved more of freedom of speech and for peace than anyone else, says MEP Branko Grims, as he nominates Musk for the Nobel Peace Prize.
One place where you can find out the truth.
Yes.
And
the only place.
Yeah.
So how much pressure, to the extent you can say, has there been on you to shut it down or to censor it?
Well, I mean, apart from the multiple Democrats saying that I should go, they want to put me in jail, take away all government contracts from my companies, nationalize my companies, deport me as an illegal, and have me arrested because I'm apparently Putin's best friend. Nothing besides those things.
So you saw...
Freedom of speech is a fundamental human right and is protected by Universal Declaration of Human Rights and many other international laws. There can be no peace without freedom of speech because any sort of censorship leads to manipulation, to conflict and in the end to war. Mr. Elon Musk has opened his platform X for all opinions, for all ideas, without any censorship. And what's most important, he resisted all the pressure from states, from international companies and from anybody else to impose any sort of censorship on X. With this he achieved for freedom of speech and for peace more than anybody else in the third millennium. That's why many members of the European Parliament, members of national parliaments and also university professors have jointly proposed Mr. Elon Musk for Nobel Peace Prize for 2025.
Well, as global tensions rise from military confrontations in Congo to the ongoing struggle for free speech and human rights championed by Elon Musk, these events show the complexities shaping the world today. Stay tuned for more developments as international issues evolve from politics turmoil to viral movements. Well, these are the latest world updates. Keep watching CVR English News.